Hi, this is Dr. Stephanie Wautier, and I'm the host of Conversations with a Chiropractor. I am going on my 17th year as a chiropractor, and prior to that, I was a critical care nurse working in the neuro ICU. Currently, I wear many hats, including wife, mother, sister, daughter, business owner, and friend. But this podcast really isn't about me. Although I share a lot of personal stories when I'm chatting with my guests, this podcast is about the conversations that I've had with the amazing people along my life's journey. You will hear stories of tragedy, trauma, and triumph, of ordinary people overcoming obstacles. You'll hear stories of perseverance and peace, of fear, faith, and failure. And you'll hear some simple yet profound human exchanges. Every conversation unfolds in a unique way, and I know you'll glean some benefit as the listener. Conversations with a Chiropractor is a little bit of history, a little bit of healing, and a whole lot of heart. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and enjoy these conversations with a chiropractor.
Thank you all for joining me on Conversations with a Chiropractor. Today I have Tom Woodaz and three of his daughters, the firstborn, Heather Spencer, the secondborn, myself, Stephanie Wautier, and I have the baby of the family, number 5, Jacqueline Clean. Welcome. So I'm going to start asking my dad, Tom, a question. He's the secondborn in his family, number 2 out of 10. What do you feel like first versus secondborn is?
What do I feel? I feel like secondborn is best.
Jackie and Heather, thank you so much for being on this podcast. I'm so excited to have you both. Thanks for having us today.
We are so glad to be here.
So Heather, you are the firstborn of the Woodaz girls.
I am the oldest of 5 girls, spanning 10 years.
And there are 5 of us all together.
Okay, so key birth order traits for the firstborn child is a go-getter, responsible, role model, determined, rule follower, hard worker, cautious, bossy.
Well, I'm certainly a hard worker, and I'm a boss. But I'm not sure I'm crazy about following the rules, so I think I'd have to push back on that one a little bit. That's not fitting me perfectly.
That's why I've always said that I'm more the firstborn, because I'm more the rule follower. I feel like you're more adventurous, like you're the party girl.
Yep, I think we might be experiencing a shift in key birth order traits with you too, because secondborns are often more relaxed, less driven, more creative than firstborns, possibly because they experience more relaxed, less demanding parenting.
So I think we were switched at birth. Stephanie, you are more like a firstborn, and I am more like a secondborn.
Mm-hmm.
Jackie, what about you, the baby of the family?
See what the baby or last born personality traits are. Ooh, the first one that came up was manipulative, spoiled, rule challengers, affectionate and charming, easygoing and carefree, and persistent.
So which one of those feels most like you?
Yes, this next Google that I pulled up said the last born child is often described as sociable, charming, loving, open, but also has a temperamental, irresponsible, and self-centered. I think I'm everything.
Definitely spoiled. We were all jealous of you and said that you were certainly spoiled.
For getting all the hand-me-downs.
I never felt like you were spoiled. I thought that Heather and I were sort of the workhorses, like, you know, from the time we were born, and we are Irish twins, by the way. We're 15 months apart, which means that we could be interchangeable. I mean, truly.
Close to birth.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, you always washed the dishes. No, I washed, you dried, and you always threw them back and always said, oh, you've missed a spot or this. But for our entire lives, we washed and dried. So like until we were gone, no one ever took those roles. Like no one ever had those specific like job responsibilities.
And then, of course, when you're gone, you don't see everything everyone else is doing. Anna and I still do the dish dance where I throw them back in, but now the dish dryer dries them and I don't.
Wow.
So Anna is number 3. So number 3 and number 5, Anna and Jackie. Now you guys might have more of like a firstborn, secondborn relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like even though you're the baby,
I definitely feel like between me and Melanie, I got her up for school. I made sure she was awake. I would talk to people on her behalf. She wouldn't go through the checkout line and talk to people. So I would do that.
I didn't
Still,
Really? I didn't either.
that I got her awake, like in high school,
Yeah,
that I would
yeah.
wake her up. And
Yeah. And you guys are 3 years apart. Were you 2 years apart in school or 3 years apart in school?
2.
Okay. So
Wow.
when she was a senior, you were a sophomore.
Yeah. Imagine the dynamics of having 5 girls under the same roof. I remember 7 of us sitting around our circular dinner table. And when dinner was on the table, we would all begin eating, and there were no second helpings because there was nothing left. At the end of
everybody got their
dinner,
stuff.
I remember not an opportunity to take hot lunch because there wasn't money to pay for hot lunch. We had cold lunch, and that was that.
You know, my kids hate hot lunch. They always want me to make their lunch, and like I'm angsty about it because I want to have it healthy and I want to have it balanced. And I'm like, just take hot lunch. I would have died to have hot lunch at Holy Name with those cooks making like homemade bread every
They
day.
made things really good.
Oh
And
my
I think
gosh.
things are coming back in our area anyways about, having good food. But Aiden loves hot lunch. And we're in like a free grant area. So there's like some grant that pays for every kid to have free hot lunch in our district.
Really?
Yeah,
It was like that in Gwyn too.
have hot lunch. And Aiden's he's going to be in 4th grade. So they have a salad bar option every day, pizza option every day, sandwich every day, or Bosco sticks. Those are their staples. And then they have the one like featured thing like cheeseburgers or,
What's
chicken
a-
strips. Or
Bosco stick.
it is a breadstick with cheese in the middle. And then they have like salad and cucumbers with it.
Oh.
So let's kind of go back a little bit to those birth order personalities. Now, I think Heather feels like she fits the firstborn because you are very driven and you are very successful. You are very hardworking, persevering, optimistic.
That's true. I currently am a director of an early childhood program in Milwaukee, the Jewish Community Center, Ganami Early Childhood. And I have 75 teachers that report to me. We have 18 classrooms with over 200 children. So it feels like a big job. I also feel like every day is the opening act of a show where I say places everyone, because I want to make sure that we're all ready to perform that day.
And that's you in your professional life, but you in your personal life and professional life can sometimes be 2 different people. I see you in your personal life and never in your professional life. I see you as very carefree and not having to deal with those problems. And just in general, the outlook is, okay, let's have fun. Let's entertain. Let's enjoy.
That is so true, Jackie. And I wonder if there have been any studies about birth order and how it affects people personally and professionally. Because in Stephanie's professional life as a chiropractor and as a business owner, I see her very, very driven, very bossy, very in charge. So that would be so interesting to uncover.
But I also see that in your personal life.
That's right. That's
you're driven to get the things that you want, and you're driven to
very organized, very time aware,
and able to take charge of any situation that comes.
I do know that the older I get, the more I try to focus on having fun and being less serious. Like it's actually something that I have to work at. It's very intentional. And even like a day like today, where we have things to do, and I'm a very much, unfortunately, check the box, check the box, check the box. Like it's very hard.
Get it done and keep moving and on to the next one.
It's very hard for me to feel relaxed and be relaxed when there are people that I need to be in care of.
Or when there's things to be done. Like if all the boxes are checked, let's kick back. But when there's work to be done, it's very hard to just be like, okay, I can relax. I can sit up. Like I hate when people say this. And I know I've had this conversation with Melanie, our other sister too. She said, Mike says, just relax, take a moment, relax. And she's like, are you looking in the kitchen? There's 100 dishes that need to be done. I can't relax. I can't just kick my feet up for a second here. I need to do this stuff. I need to get it done. And then I can maybe relax at midnight once the floors are scrubbed.
And maybe that's like the working mother thing, or maybe it is like innately in my personality, which may or may not be related to birth order. I'm not sure. So I'm number 2. What does the second-born, what does Google say about the second-born?
Google says, let me toggle back to that. But also I had pulled up about the firstborn. And since Melanie was the firstborn, I think I fit this better than Melanie, though, this description. Fourthborn children often develop the ability to deal well with people. This is probably a result of having to deal with all of those personality types growing up. They may be great thinkers and able to manage challenging situations. They also may become analytical hard workers, and they can be pushy or passive. I think that could kind of fit for either of us.
Like swinging between pushy and passive? Yeah.
I'm interested in going back to the idea of having fun and relaxing. I find right now, as the mom of 2 teenage boys, the only time I can actually relax is when I'm in bed at night and I'm just scrolling social media. When do you both find time to relax in your lives?
Not very much. And I've done some therapy in my life and some life coaching. I used to say, and I would never have ever described myself as having anxiety, but know that I had the tendency to be anxious. Even in my daily life, I would say it feels like I'm being chased by a bear. So I have been so intentional, like even this morning, just taking a breath, being calm. This might not seem relaxing for someone, but sort of turning off the anxiety or the anxiousness button.
So I'm an ex-smoker, and that was my go-to relaxation. When I stopped smoking, I realized I never take a break throughout the day. So now gardening and being able to have a plant nearby, I'm crazy with my house plants in the office too. Being able to take a moment in the day and water the plants and do something that isn't staring at the computer, that isn't, that's a different shift of, okay, I'm not thinking about it. Because what I realized when I would take my smoke breaks is I sit there and I'm not thinking about anything, but my brain is digesting. And that's how, our subconscious is working all the time. And they say, if you stop thinking about a problem, then your brain will kind of work on it in the background, so to speak. I feel like I don't ever have that moment where I'm like, okay, I'm completely relaxed and I can just drift off into, easy slumber. But I do feel like I have those moments where I can check in with myself and be a little bit more internal.
You did when you were taking the smoke breaks, or you do now?
Both. I found a way to do it now without having that, because it was just a tool, so to speak, of relaxation. Obviously, you're not relaxed when you can't breathe or you have lung cancer. So having the tool of now I'm going to go check my plants, or I'm going to replant this, or I'm going to take water out to this, or I'm going to change my focus on something else, and then just kind of be in that Zen moment. And then I can think, okay, this problem is going to resolve this way, or something. I'll have a thought come into my head.
So interesting, Jackie. You're an ex-smoker, and either smoking or gardening was a way that you relaxed. I certainly will have a glass of wine with dinner and relax that way. But Stephanie, you're not a smoker or drinker. So how do you
no turn off? There's no switch.
What are you doing for relaxation?
I don't want to tell you that.
You can admit that.
That's your off switch. That's what you can do to turn it off and to have everything else going in the background. And now we're rejoined by Tom.
Or you can jump in the conversation and talk about, what do you find relaxing in your life now as an older adult who's raised 5 adult children?
Well, I think relaxing is a kind of a misnomer in a sense, because I relax when I go to work.
You love working, right, Dad?
Yes.
Would people call you a workaholic?
Well, most people would, because everybody else is lazy.
Well, let's just say everyone else is retired and not moving furniture at the age of 75.
They're lazy.
Dad, wouldn't you say that sailing and being out on the water is the way for you to unwind or unplug, recharge?
Well, sure, because you don't think of anything else.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you are 75.
Yeah.
You just had your 75th birthday.
Yep.
You've raised 5 girls who are now adults. What advice would you give young parents today as they embark on raising children? Maybe they have 1, maybe they have 5.
Don't let them get away with anything.
Okay, we're definitely going to take that out of the podcast.
Yeah, just continually test them and don't take it for granted. They're people. As soon as they're born, they're people.
So what's the right amount of pushing and supporting? When, as a parent, do you know when to push and when to support?
Well, I think that if you constantly have tears, maybe you're pushing a little too much.
And I've noticed, and I think I've said this to all of my sisters this year, is that, our kids come to the moms, especially to get the, consolation and comfort and love and reassurance. And, and that's great. And that's what we need to be here for. But sometimes they need to go to day camp where nobody cares and they get sunburnt and they get skinned knees and they have a horrible time.
Absolutely. Part of growing up.
Part of growing up, definitely.
I mean, but I wouldn't take it anyway.
So between the 5 of us, we have 11 children. One of our sisters, sister number 3, has 3 children. The rest of us have 2 children. Interesting to compare our own firstborn to our own secondborn. I wonder, we've got some discrepancies there, Stephanie. I would say your children, maybe like you and I, have reversed the birth order pattern.
Maybe. Like Sonia's very driven and focused and definitely more academic.
I was just going to say, because hard to compare firstborn, secondborn, and boy-girl traits all mixed together. Because, my firstborn boy, too, compared to girls and boys are just different. Girls are going to want to be more active, participating with definitely the baking in my case. And I think So likes that too.
Dad, you said that you were a typical secondborn? Or do you feel like do you know what the traits of a secondborn are?
Well, no, I don't, because I don't study that. Every person is an individual and they all have individual personalities and you can't predict what they're going to be. And they are what they are.
And can I ask you this, though? Do you see any differences in the way you raised Heather compared to the way you raised me?
Oh, absolutely. It was way easier because you took all the notes.
Or do you think you fought different battles? You were like, okay, I'm going to let that go.
Maybe you weren't as concerned. Maybe you were more concerned with me than
I'm sure that's true.
Were with Jackie.
Yeah. Any first parent would be.
Right. And they are. And that's why I think that
so
plays
concerned.
into the parenting of the firstborn, makes them be a little bit this way because this is how they were parented compared to, and,
I'll give you that.
And Pat, my husband, he's a firstborn, different family dynamic though, but definitely feels like, his parents were the most strict with him, the most, regimented. Right.
Yeah.
What I've always felt throughout my life is that I never actually felt that I received the strictness, but I knew that I received the love. And I'll remember the first Easter that there were more than one Easter basket on the table. And it kept dwindling as there were more and more children. I certainly always felt a sense of complete confidence and love that stayed with me for my entire life. I had everything I wanted when I was a child.
You are very confident.
I am.
You've always been confident.
Yes.
Haven't you?
Yes. From birth, I've been very ultra confident.
Not me. Not me at all. I was so shy. Do you guys remember how shy I was when I was very young?
You used to hide behind our parents' legs.
And if there was some bald man who would come over. Maybe he was a priest for dinner. And that bald man scared me so much. I would hide in the basement and I would not come out until he was gone. Do you guys remember that?
I don't.
No, I don't have a memory of that.
Dad, would you have described me as shy?
No,
No, you wouldn't have.
no,
Or self-conscious?
no. That's what I mean.
Right. And maybe while some characteristics are in line with birth order, there's probably many that are not.
Right.
You know, just like anything, it's a generalization.
Birth order,
Sex.
male, female, experiences, life experiences.
Right. So we all grew up in the same household,
2 biological parents.
and we have all very different childhood experiences.
Teachers play a big role.
Yeah. A lot of teachers called me Heather.
Really?
Oh my gosh, yes. So many of the teachers called me Heather. And I just answered finally. I wouldn't even say like, it's
You wouldn't
Stephanie.
correct them.
Really?
I don't correct people either when they think I'm a different sibling, or I just go with it. Okay, whatever.
There's someone at work that's been calling me Holly for 5 years. I also don't correct her. I just say hello. Good morning. How are you?
Dad, what was the hardest thing that you did as a parent?
Probably when one of your sisters got brought home by the cops.
One of them.
One of
It
them.
wasn't me.
It was you, wasn't it, Anna?
They sent me home.
Because she had been drinking or...
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
I think she was drinking.
Into what Anna did wrong.
Leanna's the third child. And
3 out of
we
5.
Yes.
She's dead center, middle child.
Yeah.
Dead center.
Third-born children are usually the charmers in the family. They become the class clowns and are usually good manipulators. They're also affectionate and uncomplicated.
I'll give them all of that.
I'd say rebellious for sure. I think Anna is the most rebellious of the 5 of us. She shaved her head. That was shocking at the time. That was 1990. So that was a big shock in that year.
And
That's not something kids just did.
at one point, she had it orange or purple.
Same time when it was dyed.
Which is also at that time, more than 20 years ago, was pretty shocking.
Yeah.
Now people can have any color hair, any style, any cut. So in my professional career, my agency banned any unnatural hair color in the workplace.
Really?
They did.
Wow.
And
Good.
in recent years, though, they have dropped that from the dress code. And now you can dye your hair an unnatural color like purple or red or blue.
Yeah, we could really go into like a big political tirade right now about like what's politically correct and what's acceptable. And
But instead, we'll talk about the baby traits because I'm the baby. And youngest children, it says, can be charismatic, creative, mischievous, boisterous, and dependent on others. Traits that, if inherent to the child, are often reinforced through the family's communication and behavior. Because no matter how old the youngest child turns, they will always fill one role, being the baby.
How do you feel like the baby, Jackie?
In some ways, I don't feel like I was the baby. In respect of the family dynamic, I feel like my parents don't feel like I'm the baby. But I feel like throughout the rest of the sister relationships, I definitely feel like I'm the baby. No matter how much I know, no matter what my skills are, I'm the baby.
like we don't like respect you enough, or we don't think that you're competent, or
No, because I know that you do, like feel like I'm competent. But it's just like always like, it's the baby, I don't know how to articulate it.
Do you feel like you were sort of like an only child at certain points because you were home
Of course you did.
Okay.
Well, you were home alone for what part of your childhood?
From when I was junior in high school, that's when Melanie moved out. But she was, practically, we didn't talk through high school. So I kind of felt like I was the only child, probably from high school.
You didn't talk in high school?
I mean, we argued in high school, but
You didn't get along?
We didn't get along.
Really? I don't think I knew that.
Well, that's another piece of work.
Well, I remember when Heather went to college and I was a senior and we were very, very close. And I think I sort of probably unknowingly was like mad at you for leaving. Do you remember that?
My most profound memory was Jackie taking me to college and crying when I went into the dorm. I don't have memories of the other sisters at all, but I knew Jackie was there and she was crying because at that time I was 18 and she was 8. So she was a very young child at that time.
And also, Mom will state this too, that when I came home from the hospital, Heather was like, that's my baby. Do you remember that?
Really?
And that's not uncommon.
Well, I felt that way about all of you.
Like we were all your babies.
And I think it was Anna that said when Melanie was born to one of Mom's friends, you can take that baby back now. I think that's a little bit how Noah felt, my firstborn, when his sister, like, he was like, no.
I'm
Like,
not ready for that.
They were close in age.
very close, 21 months. You know, Heather, you were very motherly. You did, I think you taught all the sisters how to read, right?
Definitely Melanie.
Okay. And
Yeah, you didn't teach me.
Still there.
I have a vivid memory of one of our babysitters we had cloth diapers with the safety pins. One of the babies, she didn't put her hand like where she should have.
And between the diaper and the skin to make sure she didn't poke
I was
through.
like, you're going to stick baby. I also remember the babysitter who was a boy who let us have Pop Rocks.
To allow a boy to babysit.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow. Maybe it was one of the Gindin boys.
it wasn't. I would have remembered.
Oh.
I mean, the Gindens were like our extended family.
They were our
Like-
next door neighbors.
Yeah, across the street neighbors.
Family friends. They
Yep.
weren't just neighbors. They were
Right.
family friends. By
True.
That point. And now I just got Aiden and Ced. So Aiden is my son and Cedric is Brian Gindin's son. Brian and I were the closest in age of the family. And they just got hooked up on Facebook Messenger.
No kidding.
I mean, of course, they've known each other since they were born, but it's just so awesome how sometimes we just have those connections,
It is.
family connections.
It really is. Dad, who did you guys hire to babysit us when you went to Hawaii? It was probably the only trip you ever went on.
Some lady.
Yeah, we got some talking to me and that some lady eating burnt toast.
She was horrible. She was horrible. She was horrible.
Yes.
Like,
Really?
the worst.
Like the mean nanny?
Yes. Like the mean nanny.
She made me eat burnt toast. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And she was like scraping off the burntness. I'm like, it doesn't change the fact it's still burnt toast. I remember we had a showdown. It was at her house. And she wouldn't let me bring my doll to the bowling alley. She had like bowling league or something. And I was so mad.
We were staying at her house?
But I think I wasn't in school yet. So I was doing all the things with her during her day and everyone else was at school. And maybe she was bowling that day and making
And
me toast.
dolls don't go to bowling alleys, apparently.
Let's think about what her name was.
Yeah, she's probably dead. Don't worry.
I'm sure she's dead.
You're not going to find her, Jackie.
Well, and you know, Gary and I were just talking about this. Like, it's very hard to leave your kids, like with someone that you trust, right?
Oh.
And it's very hard to go anywhere as mom and dad and leave the kids home. So I'm actually proud that you guys did that. I wanted you to be able to go over to Finland or Sweden when the hockey team was going, and you didn't.
No.
Well, remind me what the political climate was then. There was some reason why you didn't want to go?
No, I had no issues at all.
You didn't?
I just never, I don't remember that it entered my mind to go.
Really?
Yeah.
And I had this thought that you didn't go because there was something in the political climate that you felt unsafe and
No.
That's
No.
modern day.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, were and so who was the easiest child to raise?
No.
Jackie was.
Why?
I told you already, she took all the notes. She knew what to do and what not to do.
Figured out all the loopholes and I got them down.
Really?
Falls and don't challenge the system.
So Heather was the hardest.
The first is always the hardest.
I was the hardest.
You don't even know what you don't know when you have a first child. You don't know what you're going to feel, what you're going to go through, what the experiences are going to be. I mean, I think about my boys that are 3 years apart. I mean, everything is just exponentially easier the second time around. You've taken the high school classes, you've gone to college for the first year, you've worked through the deadlines and the hardships and the bumps, and it's just so much easier.
Well, and I do a lot of random events with my kids. Any kid event thing I'm pretty much going to go to. One of my friends said, now that I've done this with you, I can do it by myself. Now that I know where to check in, I know where to go to the bathroom, I know how the flow of the day goes, I know how this event is going to go, now I can come by myself. I feel like that's very much like firstborn. Like, okay, this is all scary. I'm navigating everything, new by myself. And then secondborn's like, okay, I've done this before. Now I feel confident. I know how to change a diaper. I know that this is going to happen. She's going to spit up. She's going to cry. I've been through it.
You are very adventurous like that, though.
Oh, yeah. There's this awesome gun club, and they do free shooting for kids on certain Saturdays of the summer. And my kids are in love with archery, and Aiden loves to go shooting and skeet shooting as well. And it just teaches them how to use a gun, how to be comfortable with a gun. And that's the knowledge that I don't have to give them. I'm not a shooter or a hunter. And we do a lot of things like there's the DNR puts on a day that is all about fishing. And so you win prizes and go fishing and do all this wonderful things. I want them to have the experience, because if you never try something, how are you going to know if you like it or not? And now my kids like archery and fishing. So yeah, I'm definitely going to try things and bring them to random events.
I think that's so unique as a parent. I really do.
When you and Heather helped me sail 7 up to Menominee,
How old were we?
teenagers.
We had the really bad storm.
Well, it wasn't a storm per se.
Was it that kind?
Maybe that's what you were hoping. It was just a wind beating 4 to 5 foot waves. It was just very uncomfortable.
Did we throw up?
I don't recall that anybody got sick.
No.
But you'll remember the head in 7 Up, and you would go up there and try to use the head and fall off. And
Very difficult.
powwow. Yeah, we went to powwows in St. Ignace.
I thought we were a little Native American, like ethnically or
We're
heritage.
kind of tied to it, but we're not really.
Well, so the deal is my grandfather, my mother's father, was illegitimate. The family that raised him, they're all Native American lineage,
Oh, okay.
but he is.
Okay.
So yeah, we thought for a long time that we were.
Did everybody know he was illegitimate? Like, was it common knowledge?
Well, yeah, I think it was for some of them.
But it probably just wasn't something that was shared or known.
That was your grandfather?
Yeah.
And what was his name?
Lee St. Andrew.
Lee St. Andrew.
Yeah.
So he potentially was a white man.
Dad, let's talk a little bit about like ethnicity and genealogy. That's Grandma Woodaz's dad.
Yep.
He married Zira.
Yep.
And she was what ethnically?
No clue.
Hmm.
She was a big woman
Okay.
and not very nice.
And then the only great grandmother that we knew was Lee's second wife,
Betty.
Betty.
Well, they married.
Mm-hmm.
So she
Okay.
became by marriage with St. Andrew.
So Zira was his first wife.
Mm-hmm. So, it's funny. Dad used to wear a T-shirt that said Polish Prince. And I really thought we were like princes and, I really thought that we were Polish royalty when I was little. Like, I really authentically was like,
They're like, well, my hair is so long, I must be a princess.
I really did. I don't know how old I was, but I had that thought.
Yeah, princess.
Grandpa Woodaz, so John Woodaz's parents were both Polish, correct?
Yep.
Anna and Jacob.
100%.
100%.
Came on the boat,
They came on the boat
met here, and got married.
in Munising.
Yeah.
Very short in stature, weren't they?
Yep.
Very small people. And I mean, Grandma, your mother,
Yep.
Grandpa, moderately tall.
Yeah, well, he was short. Charlie, Grandma. By a smidge.
Well,
Or the
maybe
same height, shorter.
5'7".
And you're what, 5'11"?
Yep.
Okay.
And Heather, how tall are you?
5'8".
Mm-hmm.
But my boys are 6'2" and 6'1".
I am 5'4" and 5'3" and 3/4. And Noah's tall.
He's almost 6 foot. And Sonia's tall. She's 5'7" or 5'8".
Anna's kids are tall.
Yeah.
My kids seem tall to me, but I don't think they're that.
Dylan
Right.
and Grace aren't that tall.
But I think they're not short for their,
Maybe just middle of the road.
right?
So, Dad, tell me a little bit more about your experiences with your grandparents in Munising.
When we would go over there when I was a kid, the spoken language in the house was Polish.
Okay.
And my perception of them was they were very standoff. They were busy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they were like what would today be called survivalists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surviving, just
Right.
trying to put
Right.
food on the table.
You're not
Well,
going to eat if you don't plant it.
Right.
Yeah. So, where was their farm?
I don't remember what they call that location, but up the road from Munising about, it was 3 or 4 miles east of Munising.
Going toward Pictured Rocks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And you were born in Munising, lived in Munising until you were...
A freshman in high school, we moved out to the farm.
Wow. That's probably the most inopportune time to live on a farm, right? When you're starting high school? I mean, you were busy with track and basketball.
Well, the deal at our place was your first thing you're going to do is get the firewood cut. And we used to say to our basketball coach, we don't know if we can make practice that day because we got to cut wood.
What would the coach say?
Okay, we got to talk about this wood cutting business.
It was probably pretty universal, though. I mean, many of the people in Chatham, Eben, probably would have been on a farm, right?
Well, yeah, they were, but probably we were like the last of the Mohicans in terms of that true farming.
Doing it all yourself.
Right.
Doing every bit of it.
Right.
The survivalist mentality
Right.
of the farming.
Right.
You
Which
do
my dad got from his parents.
Now, he always worked at the mill in addition to having the farm, right?
Yep.
He always worked at the paper mill. And so did his father.
Yep.
Correct?
And his sister and one of his brothers.
Many people, many Woodazes
Yeah.
over at the paper mill in Munising.
Still do.
Wow.
Seal?
Yeah. So that was Grandpa's parents. What about Grandma's parents? Were they around much? Lee and Zira, or Lee and Betty?
Okay, well, so Aunt Zira, or Grandma Zira, was not in Good Hill. We didn't go there much. And
So not a tight relationship. And then great-grandpa's second wife was a little more like compassionate, kind, warm.
well, yeah, compared to Zira.
Didn't do much stuff.
Right.
And I remember the St. Andrews as being that lovely, warm side of the family. And they talked to me.
Lucky you.
Well, and I mean, here's like the vast difference, right? Like, how are you to your own children and how are you to your grandchildren? You're probably not the same, right? You don't treat your grandchildren the same as you treat your children.
Right.
Did you eat a lot of Polish food, Dad?
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's your favorite?
Polish sausage and sauerkraut.
Mm-hmm. That's my favorite too. I love that smell.
Do you guys actually like folk music too?
Yeah.
I
But
don't
there's
think
nothing objectionable about polka music.
If it came on, if you're flipping through radio and it came on, are you staying on folk?
Oh, 100%. Because I'm going to be like, how the heck did that get on the radio?
Do you know what I think is very interesting is that there is a lot of and I don't know the category and I want to try to be politically correct, but there's a lot of Hispanic music that is very polka-esque, very much instrumentally and in the rhythm.
And also
Really?
all over Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
When I was a waitress here at the Terrace and I would wear my hair back in a bun in high school, everyone thought I was Czechoslovakian.
Really?
And they must not have heard the Upper Peninsula accent, which was hopefully thicker then than it is now. But, oh yeah, they thought I was from the Czech Republic.
But also as a family, I don't think we ever had a big Uber accent.
You think so?
I definitely do if I'm drinking.
I always said that I wanted to enunciate so no one would ever be able to tell that I was from the UP. No slang.
Well, remember one of your friends that went to Marquette, and I was taking you guys to Marquette University. I can't remember her name, but she said, according to Webster's Dictionary, hillbillies, kind of according to Webster, hillbillies are people from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Really?
And she wasn't from the Upper Peninsula.
She was.
Oh, she was.
Hillbillies. Gosh.
Well, I mean, when I was a traveling nurse, everyone thought I had an accent. They thought I was Canadian or...
Really?
So, I mean, even though we try to enunciate, there are still certain ways that we say vowels that are more in that dialect.
Like bag.
Yes. Bag.
Bagel.
Well, it's just like the people from Massachusetts got to pock the caw.
Exactly. I mean, if you just look at the United States and the dialect, we're all speaking the English language, but oh my gosh, there are pockets of many different dialects. Ishpeming and Nagani? Yeah. I do not mean to offend anyone, but it's there. Very thick. Well, I wonder, is there anything else that anyone feels compelled to share or talk about? I'm so grateful that we've had this chance to talk a little bit about birth order and a little bit about growing up.
Everybody's an individual.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
So you're saying don't put people in a box, don't put people in a category?
Yep.
That's great advice.
Thank you all for being on this podcast.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in to Conversations with a Chiropractor. Your support and engagement are what make this podcast a success. Each episode brings you enriching conversations with interesting people and dives into the many facets of chiropractic health and wellness. If your company is interested in partnering with Conversations with a Chiropractor to reach a dedicated audience, please contact us at conversationswithachiropractor@gmail.com for sponsorship and endorsement opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe to Conversations with a Chiropractor on platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. And if you enjoy our content, please consider rating us. It helps the show grow and continue providing great content. Stay connected by following our Facebook page at facebook.com/Wautier Wellness and visit our website, wautierwellness.com, for more information. Conversations with a Chiropractor looks forward to bringing you more engaging and enlightening episodes. Until next time, stay healthy and stay aligned. Credits: podcast production by Plas Focal. Interested in starting your own podcast? Learn more and reach out at www.voiceover.work.